Padre Pio took upon himself something of what was due to humanity. He had a friend who was actually an Englishman who was aware of his suffering, and this person wanted at all costs to alleviate his pain and offered to take upon himself some of it. Padre Pio tried to warn him, but since he insisted, he allowed a certain amount to be transmitted. At once the pain was so atrocious that he had to ask for it to stop. Padre Pio one time commented with regard to his wounds, "Do you think that they are just ornaments?" He was on the cross. And in every generation the Lord does raise up victim souls, and we have some inkling that it is these that are actually, together with our Blessed Lady herself, in some way averting total disaster for humanity. It is the teaching of St. Paul, "I make up in my body," is yet to be undergone in the passion of the Saviour itself. Not, of course, that that was incomplete, but the Lord in some way extends that passion through his members, and that can be us. We can, when receiving pain, physical or spiritual, use it to become bitter and to lose merit by bad reactions, or we can take up that spirituality of victimhood and, using it well, merit. It is important. We should never waste suffering. With regard to the penances given, he was known not to be excessive in the penances that he gave, and it was understood that what was going on was that he was taking upon himself what actually he should have been giving to his penitents. Having said that, he was not inclined to play easily with the merits of the precious blood, and he is known to have said something about that with regard to priests who too easily, without demand for correction, threw around lightly what was gained at such a price on the cross. That is, that forgiveness was to come also with resolution and sorrow on the part of the penitent. And unfortunately, that bit has been forgotten in our time. It is important that at least at that point the soul genuinely is in the divine will perceived, and not telling God how he should behave and command. And that happens now in confession. There are people who do not like to hear certain things, and the priest, of course, is wrong, and he will be told that he's wrong, directly or indirectly. Is that the attitude of the sinner and the penitent? The world of the invisible was very much present to Padre Pio. He is known to have remarked that there was a huge number of holy souls trying to tug at his chasuble. If if we only knew the number of holy souls trying to benefit from the holy sacrifice. And he knew the power of that holy sacrifice. He saw it as the sun, without which the world could not exist. He paused at great length at the two mementos, the living and the dead. And he knew the power of naming souls. He had encountered also here and there holy souls. It might be deceased friars. They might be in trouble. One or the other might be doing part of his penance in church, where he defended. He also knew the reality of the angelic world. In those days, there were no cell phones, and he encouraged people to make use of the communication system of the angels. Our guardian angel can genuinely communicate with another guardian angel. His accompanier, Fra Alessio, always had to be with him when he went from church to the convent. Otherwise the pious people, the ladies in Italy, would have little scissors and would take a bit of his habit away as a relic. Padre Pio had now and again to send his own guardian angel to get the guardian angel of Fra Alessio to wake him up if he wasn't awake when he had to go from church to the convent. One time Fra Alessio is known to have said that he'd forgotten to set his alarm clock, or it hadn't gone off. Padre Pio answered, "Then you must get a new alarm clock. I have had enough of sending my guardian angel to wake you up." That's how familiar he was with the world of the beyond. In Italy, we used to receive many testimonies of his intervention, either before or after his death, because he's still around, as it were. There's a huge devotion to him out there, and he was very active from the other side. Way back before he was beatified or canonized, we used to have Holy Mass now and again in memory or in honor of him, and I was about to celebrate it one time, and a parishioner walked by on the way to church and said that he had known Padre Pio. It was before the war. He and his friend had gone to see him, and Padre Pio had said to them, "You will return. You will not." So it was. The friend was lost in the war, but the other was still alive with us. He is one of the most powerful intercessors, and it's not surprising, given that he was on the cross all the time as his Saviour. We can be sure that on this, his heavenly birthday, many are the graces that can be outpoured by pulling on him. Years ago, I was sent by my abbot to the Padre Pio pilgrimage at Knock. It was a huge one, about 12,000. I did notice that in subsequent years they had transferred it to the following weekend. The reason was that the huge GAA final was on that day. I was amazed that a ball could be more important than one of the greatest bombs of our time. When one is on the cross, one sees what matters. We need to be brought back to our senses. He did see something of the 3 days of darkness before he died. He saw something of the Garabandal warning or miracle, I believe. And he did say, yes, Our Lady was appearing at Garabandal. So we are in very dark times. Let us see how we can take more seriously the mystery of suffering, the mystery of the precious blood, the mystery of the forgiveness of our God, the seriousness of our salvation. Heaven is not automatic, and he's known to have pleaded with his friends not to call him a saint, because if they did, he would not get what he most needed after his death. And indeed, it is said that he did have a tiny moment in purgatory. If that's the case, one of the greatest saints of all time, what will it be for us? And yet, at every funeral, what do we have? A beatification. And most probably, the candidate is roasting nicely.